I love creating the podcast. If you have enjoyed the episodes in any way, the best way to support me is my subscription link. For as little as $3 a month, you can help support the time and production cost included in producing the podcast.
My name is Barbara Ann Briggs, and I am a certified teacher of Transcendental Meditation and also the author of 2 books, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love, a novel of visionary fiction which has been hailed as the perfect amalgamation of spiritual awakening and self-discovery. I'm also the author of The Contribution of Maharishi's Vedic Science to Complete Fulfillment in Life. I'm a poet and a freelance journalist with numerous articles published in many different parts of the world. In this podcast, The Essence of Life, we will begin to understand the meaning of what is actually the essence of life. The subject of today's podcast is the purpose of life. At some point in our lives, in the midst of getting and spending, watching and waiting, cooking and cleaning, chatting and watching social media, at some point in our lives we may actually ask ourselves, what is the real purpose of life? Why am I here? Is there a higher purpose of life than I'm presently aware of? When we come to this point in our lives, it may be the beginning of a reflection about the real meaning of what is the purpose of human life. The purpose of human life is to expand, to progress, to evolve, and to actualize the full potential of the human nervous system. The aim of human life can be summed up in the words of the Delphic oracle, know thyself, know thyself. To know oneself fully, to experience the essence of who one really is, to remember who one really is to unfold one's cosmic, divine potential. The great saint Sri Anandamayi Ma has said, and I quote, "To strive to know himself, to find himself, is man's duty as a human being. Of all creatures, man alone has been endowed with the potential capacity to realize God. Thus the search after truth is his bounden duty. Let every man advance along the path which is most congenial to him." End quote. The human being holds a unique place among living beings on this planet because other animals and birds have no desire for self-knowledge. The aspiration to attain full knowledge and the state of full enlightenment is only found in the human species. The human nervous system is a rare boon that holds the key to the treasure house of all knowledge, infinite bliss, and eternal peace. Life is a sacred gift. Human life is designed for the acquisition of the supreme attainment. A great saint expressed this idea when he said that if we as human beings don't attain the state of enlightenment in our lifetime, we will have sold a diamond for the price of spinach. It is as if each one of us holds the key to a palace in our pocket, but we are confined to living in a hut. We have forgotten all about the key, which is in our very own pocket. In the words of the great Saint Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and I quote, "Man is born of bliss, of consciousness, of creativity, of wisdom, but he forgets this. He finds himself ignorant, just inefficient and dull. The whole plan of life is distorted. Having the ticket for New York, he begins to go to Honolulu. Being born as a man on earth, the purpose is to rise to happiness of the highest and most permanent nature, and it is not required that we work for this. It is only necessary to begin to enjoy." In my message, you are not only told, "Oh, you have forgotten that you are a millionaire," you are also given the key to the treasury. Use this key to open the treasury of inner life and see for yourself that you are a millionaire and not a poor person. End quote. According to Maharishi, all limitations and problems of life arise from some weakness of the mind. The weakness of the mind is due to ignorance of the essential nature of the self, which is an unbounded ocean of infinite creativity, bliss, intelligence, and energy. Ignorance is born of non-attention to the unified wholeness at the basis of life. Without the knowledge and experience of the self, one remains unaware of it. There is a saying, "Out of sight, out of mind." The self is the unmanifest wholeness of life. It underlies all forms in the universe, but because it is invisible to the senses of perception, it is easily forgotten. Whatever we attend to, that we become. What we see, we become. In ignorance, the wholeness of life is not in our awareness. Only the field of change exists. The inner silence, bliss, creativity, and infinite intelligence of the self is lost from view. The objects of experience dominate one's awareness. A tree which is disconnected from its roots soon dries out. Similarly, one who ignores the very foundation of one's life, which is the self, inevitably violates the laws of nature, and as a result, one meets with problems, failures, and suffering. However, when one is faced with great challenges, trials, and tribulations in life, one may lose sight of the grand goal of human life, especially when one is forced to face experiences of disease, rejection, and disappointment. Such experiences may be the result of losing someone we love when a relationship ends, or when there is a death in the family. In times like this, the best remedy to recover our balance is spiritual knowledge. There is a famous story in Buddhism about a woman named Kissa Gotami, who was the wife of a wealthy man. When her only son died, she was devastated. Carrying him in her arms, she wandered from house to house, asking her neighbors to give her some medicine to bring her son back to life. The people thought she had lost her senses. Finally, an old man advised her to go to Sakya Muni, the Buddha. She went to the Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." The Buddha told her that he could bring her child back to life if she could find white mustard seeds from a house where no one had ever died. Gotami desperately went from house to house, but to her disappointment, there was not a single house where a death of a family member had not occurred. Finally, the realization dawned in her awareness that death is common to all living beings. She realized that she had to accept the loss of her son and continue undaunted in her journey of life. Buddha taught her that the cycle of life and death is a universal reality endured by all. Buddha's teaching about death comforted her, and through his wisdom, she was awakened to the eternal truth of life. Afterwards, she entered the final stage of enlightenment, and eventually she became a fully awakened being. This story helps us to understand that suffering is a process which is common to all human beings. It is part and parcel of human life. The process of evolution is bumpy. There are hurdles and obstacles to overcome. These hurdles come in order to strengthen our resolve and endurance so that we can progress with greater speed on the path to ultimate fulfillment. There are inevitable separations in life, which one must accept with courage, faith, and fortitude. Meetings and partings between individuals in the journey of life have been compared to logs floating downstream in a fast-flowing river. We come together for short intervals and then are parted by the waves of time. These movements in the river of life are natural, universal, and unavoidable. Gain and loss, pleasure and pain are the pairs of opposites which characterize the ever-changing realm of life. It is only by transcending the ever-shifting sands of duality and experiencing the unchanging, silent source of pure being at the depths of our own consciousness that peace can be gained. That silent source of pure being is the very basis of all life in the universe. Every experience in our lives contains within it the seed of further growth and evolution. We gain mastery by patiently facing the ever-changing situations of life. The great saint, the great teacher Meher Baba, explained this concept in his own words, and I quote, "The incident of birth is common to all life on earth. Unlike other living creatures, which are born insignificantly, which live an involuntary life, and which die an uncertain death, physical birth of human beings connotes an important, and if they are extra circumspect about it, perhaps a final stage of their evolutionary process. Here onwards, they are no longer automatons, but masters of their destiny, which they can shape and mold according to will. And this means that human beings, having passed through all the travails of the lower evolutionary process, should insist upon the reward thereof, which is spiritual birth in this very life." End quote. Whatever we put our attention on grows stronger in our lives. Attention to our inner development through practices as well as the study of spiritual literature elevates both our mind and heart and can hasten our progress toward enlightenment. There is actually no hindrance on the path to ultimate fulfillment because it is a pathless path. The goal of life is omnipresent. The goal is where we are at this very moment. There is no distance to traverse. The self reveals itself to itself from within itself. When the veil of ignorance, like a cloud on the horizon, is removed, the radiant light of the ever-luminous self, the transcendental wholeness of life, is spontaneously revealed. The sacred aim of human life is gained spontaneously in silence and serenity. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast so that we can share many more episodes related to unfolding the very essence of life. And I look forward to many more episodes in which we embark upon the quest of self-knowledge together. A new episode will be uploaded every 2 weeks. You are also invited to go to www.barbaraannbriggs.com to learn more about my work. Until next time, very best wishes.